Welcome, everyone. To today's webinar is the Wharton MBA Program for Executives, our new global cohort. I'm Diane Sharp. I'm a member of the Wharton Grad Admissions team, and I am here today with my colleague, Blair.
And I'm Blair Mannix, a member of the MBA admissions team as well. And we're so excited to be here talking about the new global cohort. This is the introduction, and we could not be happier to be with you this morning.
So let's get started. I'd like to share our show with you. Again, now the Wharton MBA Program for Executives has 3 cohorts. We've always been in Philadelphia for 49 years, San Francisco for 20 years, and we're excited to launch our global cohort. We consider it one big class. And this is what we're going to walk you through today. We want to show you how you are going to earn the Wharton MBA via this new format. You'll be online for much of it. You'll be in person quite a bit. Of course, it's going to have the same global scope as the Wharton MBA does. And in fact, this cohort is going to really manifest that. 3 cohorts for the one class that we bring in every May, and it will have that Wharton curriculum. This is a program for those of you who really want to have that Wharton MBA on your resume, and you're going to earn it the hard way. All right, and the program support, this 2 years, and we want to make sure that you have what you need as you get through the program. There's a lot involved in your busy lives. We're here to help you with the academic side of things. And of course, we're going to show you how you become part of that Wharton network that is now over 104,000 strong. And at the end, we're going to spend some time on the admissions piece of it all because we know that that's a big part of your journey toward becoming a Wharton MBA. So let's start with the schedule. We are going to have our global cohort come together 5 times. First and foremost, in May of 2023, you're going to start on campus, the University of Pennsylvania. All 3 cohorts will start together, the San Francisco cohort, Philadelphia, and global. So it's really neat. End of May, everybody's running around, bonding, taking classes. So we really get that feel you're networking with everyone. And then our global cohort will stay a bit longer than the other 2. But then you're going to head out and do that every other weekend cadence. The other opportunities to come together, you're going to have 2 in Philadelphia, the very start of the program, and the very end. When it ends 22 months later, March of 2025, you're going to end here on the University of Pennsylvania campus. You're going to have one of your weeks together in San Francisco on that beautiful campus. And then we're going to also have 2 weeks where the cohort is together somewhere outside of the United States. So those are 5 times just you and your cohort will be together because that's such an important part of going through the Wharton MBA program.
That's one of the things I think is actually really cool about this that I think is important to know. Maybe people who were brought to this webinar by some of the press releases or the website stuff about this new global cohort, realize that obviously a lot of it is online at your house, synchronous learning with the rest of your cohort. But we want you with our students on campus in Philadelphia, in San Francisco, during these 5 residency sessions. So you're going to be with 224 some odd other Philadelphia and San Francisco cohort folks on campus, which really brings that energy, that really brings that learning, that really brings that networking that is really the hallmark of the Wharton MBA.
Absolutely. Yep, we can give you the academics all day long, but to be a true Wharton MBA, you've got that networking and bonding and working together. So the other 3 opportunities to get together are going to be globally. There's a Global Business Week trip that all Executive MBA students take. So it would be to a destination somewhere across the world, and it would be East-West global combined. There's going to be 5 different destinations to choose from. And then the global students get to attend 2 global modular courses. Those would be required. And that's neat because not only are all 3 cohorts of the Wharton MBA Program for Executives able to attend, we have some full-time MBA students absolutely going to those GMCs. So it's a really good opportunity to bond that way. So basically 8 times you'll need to get on an airplane to be together with your cohort and other MBAs. And those 38 synchronous class weekends, and we're going to call them weekends, just as we would in our fully in-person cohorts, because the cadence is the same. So our professors are teaching from Philadelphia, Eastern Time, and you're going to come online to wherever you are. It might be Thursday night at 7 p.m., or it might be in the morning if you're on the other side of the world. So 3 3-hour sessions every other week. That is the synchronous piece of our program. And that is when basically we expect you to be fully engaged, learning from your classmates. The technology that the school has ready to go is going to really make you feel like you are having those conversations in class. So the calendar is there. If you would, you'll see the link. Just go to the website and you'll see that 2-year snapshot with all the different times where you're together or online live. All right, and let's give you an example of what a weekend looks like.
Important.
Yeah, so what does it mean? The synchronous piece of our global cohort means, yes, we want you to be in front of your computer at home, the office, wherever you are, and ready to learn. A Wharton professor, the same professors that teach in the full-time MBA program and the other cohorts of the executive are there live teaching you. And if they are starting at 7 p.m. on Thursday night, you might be in Beijing, and it's going to be 7 a.m. Friday morning. And then they're going to teach Friday morning, and then it'll be evening for you. And then a third 3-hour session that is taught at 7 a.m. Saturday here in Philadelphia. So there's some samples there for different parts of the world, what that means to you. And of course, we always have to throw out there daylight savings time is going to mix it up. And I think there's hope that that might not be a thing anymore in the future. So the scheduling's a challenge, but just know that these are your weekends. And as our students are required who are now in session in Philadelphia and San Francisco to take every other Friday off, we feel it's important for you to do that as well. Because as you can see, there's 12 hours in between these sessions, the first 2 sessions. That's a quick turnaround. And we want you to feel engaged for your weekend.
Yeah. And Diane, I would love to just even paint a picture of kind of what this will feel like. We've all been through a lot in the last 2.5 years. And so we've all learned how to live and function and have meetings and learn and be online. And so that's what we think is the victory in this. Like these classes with these people, your cohort, your friends, your community, your new Wharton family, all over the world is going to feel like you've been interacting for the last 2 years. I was just in a meeting yesterday and it was reminding me all of the victories and functionality of online connection, right? Like I was sharing links in the chat. Previously, if I was standing in front of the room, which we both love to do, but if I was standing in front of the room, I can't put links in the chat. You can't raise your hand. We all know that the academic research, a lot out of Wharton, talks about, how quieter participants in class actually get more airtime in these types of synchronous classrooms because they can virtually raise their hand or insert a commentary into the chat. And so we're excited that this is the new way of the world and Wharton could meet that. And this is going to be our first foray into it with synchronous learning for the global cohort.
Yeah, and the technology that's being implemented is super. It is going to be a classroom where the professors will see all of you independently. But believe me, it's not Wharton on Zoom. It's got a lot of tools so they can interact properly, and so everyone feels like they're having those in classroom discussions.
They'll be standing up, right?
Absolutely. Yep, they'll be at their podium.
Yep,
that's how they teach best, right? Yep. In front of their class. All right. So it is fundamentally the curriculum that makes this the Wharton MBA program. So comparing it to the full-time MBA, you will see there are no differences except in the duration. This cohort is 22 months. Because all of our students are required to maintain their careers throughout, we can't throw quite as many courses into your lives throughout, so we do have to extend it by a couple of terms, basically a term and a half, so you can get all of the credit units that are required to earn your Wharton MBA.
And those full-time students take their summer off.
Right.
So yes, that's why the 22 and the 20 months works.
Yep, they have that traditional schedule, so they're off in the summer, but not the Wharton MBA program for executives cohorts, none of them. All right, and let's get into the curriculum a bit.
Let me kick this off. So I think, one of the fundamental aspects of the Wharton MBA program in Mass, whether, you're doing it in the global cohort, you're doing it in Philadelphia, in San Francisco, or full-time, is the idea that we want you to wring every ounce of utility out of this program over the course of 2 years. We feel really strongly in core coursework. We feel like you have to have a certain set of skills, I like to describe it, to have that Wharton diploma on your wall. So it is that core that will give you those core set of skills, but we don't want to bog you down with curriculum curriculum that you don't need to advance your career. So we do a very fine line, I believe, in curriculum review of core classes versus electives. And so how it will work is in your first year, you'll take all of your core classes. I think an important component of this is something we call a learning team. As I say all the time, business is a team sport. It's not a solo sport. You have to learn how to work in teams and act in teams because you succeed in teams. So Wharton teaches business in teams. So your core classes will be with a learning team going through your, kind of core skills in that first year. But the second you hit your second year, those electives come into play, and you can really tailor your curriculum to the future, 20, 40 years of your career. And I think that's something we're really excited about. The last thing I'll say before I turn it back over to Diane for more, interesting stuff is, at this point in your career, your executives, you're getting into the space where maybe it would be really helpful to have some coaching. Maybe some of you have, maybe some of you have had kind of light coaching, but executive coaching is a huge part of this program, and it's a huge part of our culture. Most of our students, whether at the MBA for executives or the full-time MBA, will take advantage of executive coaching. Full 360 feedback from former colleagues, current cohort members, giving you that real-time, sometimes awkward feedback about what you're good at and what you're not. And that's very much part of the curriculum and your learning structure. And that's why we talk about it with the core.
Yep. And one noteworthy item with the all three cohorts of the MBA program for executives, we don't require a major. Yes, in that second year, you're taking electives. And as Blair said, it's what courses speak to you? What do you need to have an impact on your career? Does it add up to a major? Great. At this level in your career, you've had a major undergrad. You already have a specialty. It's not like you need a second specialty to add on. A lot of people keep it pretty broad. So you get a lot of choice, and I would challenge you to find another Executive MBA program that has as many elective choices as Wharton does. In fact, I liken our students to kids in a candy store. They can't decide. They want to take them all. And one neat thing, the independent study option. If you have a very specific area of interest that there just wasn't a course that covered that, we want to give you the opportunity to work with a professor. Our Vice Dean, Peggy Bishop-Lane, can find out, okay, what is this nugget of education, and find a professor that might help you independently or in a small group really dive deep into an area of interest of yours.
Lastly, I think one of the coolest things about this cohort is kind of where you will be within your career relative to wring the utility out of this program. We always say at Wharton, it's a very tactile degree. It's very hands-on. You're coming, to your computers, or, the times for the weeks, the global business weeks, the global modular courses together, and you're actually bringing that learning right back to your career. And so that kind of utility and making sure that you're using the stuff you're learning at the Wharton classroom is really practical and happens like almost on an hour-to-hour basis. So it's a really exciting thing to see happen live.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, people are just bringing different things from their depth of experiences. And of course, we have our global cohort that we're excited to start. Wharton has always offered global opportunities to all of its students, and they are more baked in this cohort. As we mentioned, the Global Business Week is required of all EMBA students. The Wharton MBA program for executives, usually in term 5, which is basically next week, our students are heading off to 5 different parts of the world. So it's a mix of East and West, and this time in 2024 will be when the global students will be part of that mix. Then the global modular courses are electives for all Wharton MBA students in the executive and full-time, but in the global cohort, 2 of them will be required. Again, it's a different part of the world with a different topic. I know they happen everywhere.
Yeah, it's very Wharton. One of our former deans, I think, says it really well. In the past, maybe decades ago, the world came to Wharton, and now the Wharton is going to the world, right? The world is an extremely global place. This is why we're talking about a global cohort. And our students, this is just one picture, but our students really are in the world. It's 104,000 alumni. We really are out in the global sphere, and we want to teach you that way. Like, just learning kind of American business models is not where 2022 is going to take you. So Diane was talking about these global modular courses. We're trying to put you on the ground, to study finance in London, supply chain in China, healthcare in India, retail in Milan. The idea that, it's very valuable to physically be in the location to start to unpack these items is very much a Wharton thing. It's super tactile. And what's cool about this global cohort is that it's part of this program, not an addition to.
Right.
And so this is going to be core to the culture and core to the experience.
Yep, absolutely. And just depending on the size of each trip, you'll have, again, East, West, Global, and full-time MBA students attending all of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the McNulty Leadership Department, they create also some ventures that our students manage to take advantage of as well. And the only limitation there is your schedules, right? You have to be in class every other week. You have jobs and families, but they're really good about developing programs that our students can take advantage of on their schedules.
The other thing I'll say, and Diane knows this, but McNulty Leadership, we were the first ever school to ever develop a leadership development office to the idea that you can teach and learn leadership. So I think, anybody watching this call is probably later into their career, so they understand the idea that you can learn to be a leader and leadership can be taught. Kind of people younger in their careers might not really understand that, but it's not an innate ability that you're just divined upon. And I think Wharton really is the best in the business in teaching this, future leadership.
Absolutely. All right. As we mentioned, the community is such a big aspect of the Wharton School in general. So the faculty, believe me, they're very excited to have the opportunity to teach in this new format and to really make the most of having a global classroom. They know that you're also very busy just because you aren't on campus and can't go to their office for office hours. Oh, they're there for you. They love teaching the students at this level, right? You're bringing a depth of experience to the classroom, real-time learning, right? It's like a laboratory, and you're taking it back to class. So it's a really neat dynamic. Our students say, yeah, of course, I'm learning from the faculty. I'm learning so much from my classmates as well.
We also talk about the support. I mean, we've said for years, there is no better time that you are more supported than when you're a part of the Wharton family and you're a member of the Wharton MBA community. Sometimes we feel that dichotomy and folks come back and they say, oh, I went back to my company and I don't feel quite as supported than I did by my 3 advisors that I talked to last week. And so, just that the fact that the whole Wharton family is here to help you through, the class managers alone getting you through this program, we're just dedicated to making sure that you're really busy, you're working really hard, and we're taking care of all the little pieces for you.
Yeah, absolutely. A class manager dedicated to each of the Wharton Executive MBA cohorts, and they're there to make your life as easy as it can be during this program, right? You don't have to worry about the administrative details. They even provide advising and what courses to take. We want you to be able to show up and learn and not worry about ordering books and such. So it really helps you bond further. And we want to make sure your partners and families are a part of this too. That is going to be one of our greatest challenges that we're looking forward to in this global cohort. We want to make sure that you guys not just get to know each other in class, but that you get to know each other in a broader way. What makes you tick? What's the home situation? We'll have a lot of different offerings to make sure that those social bondings are happening as well. And the learning team, just to reiterate on that, that's part of the support. That's part of what you do during your core curriculum. But know that the administration is going to assign that team, and it's going to be one of the most diverse groups you've ever worked with in your life. We get folks from all different backgrounds, educationally, industry, function. So we make sure that each learning team is going to have, usually it's 6 unique voices. So you're learning there, and everybody's bringing something to the table, and we'll take a lead in certain projects and assignments. And that learning team pretty quickly becomes your family. Year 2, everyone's taking their own slate of electives, but that learning team lasts a lifetime. And as you engage with us through this whole exploration of applying, you'll see when we have students and alumni from our program online and some recordings that they share that I think people are surprised most of them are in their mid-30s, late 30s, that they have made these bonds as deep as they've gotten them at this level in their lives. So it's really neat to watch.
Let's talk about this Alumni Network. This is something we're really proud of. So 104, we'll have to say, it's not a joke, it's serious, but asterisk living alumni. Obviously, we have more than this, but 104 living alumni. And this is huge. This is something we talk about all the time because it is the largest alumni network of any business school in the world period. And that includes MBA for executives, full-time MBA, and Wharton undergrad. And so just with those 3 programs alone, that's how we get to the largest MBA program, alumni network in the world. Also helps that we were the first ever business school in the world. So that helps too. But I think the thing to think about and know about our alumni community is Wharton family. Wharton takes the call. One of the reasons you come to a school like Wharton is for the network, and we understand that and we know that. And the 2 ways we facilitate that are first on campus. We need to make sure that you are connecting with every single other person in your cohort, whether it's online via synchronous learning, whether it's on campus, whether it's you're an undergrad. It's our job to make sure you're meeting each other, because meeting each other here and fostering those Philadelphia families are really making sure that that network is strong for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And so I said, Wharton takes the call. Wharton helps Wharton. That's part of what this is. And so just know that coming to Wharton and joining this family, you're joining 104,000 people that want to help you in your career and will pick up the phone and give you advice or help you find co-founders or accountants or real estate brokers. And that's something that we're really, really proud of.
Absolutely. And it begins pretty much the minute you begin the program.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it kicks right in. And a big part of that alumni network is your career. So you're at the stage in your career, 10 to 20 years in. The model of on-campus interviewing is not the right model for Executive MBA students. So we have a dedicated staff to help you figure out, first of all, what is it you want to do? Everybody pretty much knows, but it's not bad to do some self-assessment tools and fine-tune that and make sure you know what you want out of this program and where you want to go. And then they will get you there. Yeah, it's about the network. Most job openings are not going to be online.
Absolutely not.
In fact, I think the stat I heard was like 80% of jobs at this level are never even advertised. So you need to find those opportunities. First, know what you want to do, and we help you take advantage of the Wharton Network to find them and make the most out of those conversations. And then when you get an offer, and you will, we'll help you optimize that as well.
Absolutely.
So our students are of the type where they're not going to say, oops, I've earned my MBA, I've gotten this nice new job and starting a new direction, but I'm done. Nope. You're going to change many, many times. So our team gives you the tools to manage your career for a lifetime. All right. It's an ongoing thing. You never stop being open to development and growth.
All right, so let's kick it to the admissions component of this. I think we're solid 20 minutes in. We'll have plenty of time for questions. I think, broad-based will say the Wharton MBA program for executives, all 3 cohorts in the full-time MBA have the same admissions committee. So we feel really strongly that it's one school, one degree, the same number of credit units, same number of course hours. So our staff runs the same way, which is why Diane and I are here together. And I'd love to run through the admissions process for you. We do see a couple questions about the admissions process, so we will get to those. So this is the class profile for the last incoming class, the class of 2024. Sometimes Diane and I joke it's so hard to present the class profile out of context, but what we wanted to just communicate with this is Wharton is a diverse global place. You're going to be sitting next to people in your global business weeks, in your global modular classes, in your synchronous class weekends that you will have never come in contact with in your careers, most likely. And that's what everybody says during this program. They said, I would have never met this type of person. I would have never interacted with this type of person. And so for us, it's not just sitting next to somebody different for the sake of sitting next to somebody different. We want you to really diversify your networks. If you're sitting in Beijing, if you're sitting in London, you may have a London-based network or a Sao Paulo-based network, but that's not how the world works. And so we will craft a class of people sitting and learning and being together that can learn and be with each other over the next 30 years of their career to strengthen both their own career, their career of the person sitting next to them, and the Wharton School for years to come. So that's what we try to do. All right, so broad base, a little bit about the admissions criteria. This is actually one of the questions we got in the chat already, so I'll just address it. Yep. So, first thing, and Diane will jump into, so we need to make sure that you're going to do well in the classroom here. We don't want to put anybody in the Wharton classroom that we think is going to struggle. You're busy enough. So the first thing we will be looking at, obviously, is undergraduate or graduate work in preparation for an MBA. But this is the thing. What I love about business school admissions is we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We assess success in the classroom in one of three different places. Either your transcripts, undergraduate or graduate, testing, which we'll talk about, or on-the-job preparedness. Many of you are sitting there being like, I'm a completely different human being, 15 years into my career than I was when I came out of college. Like I myself didn't even get in touch with my brain until I was about 30. So I can completely understand that. And so what we will do is we will look for preparedness in one of those three places. We'll talk about submitting transcripts in a minute. Super common question. Is testing required for the Wharton MBA program for executives? Because we know in the market, the answer is different. Yes. For us, testing is required. The GMAT, the executive assessment, or the GRE. Why? Do you want to say why? We want them to be ready.
Yes, it absolutely will help prepare you. And as MBA program for executives candidates, you're a bit rusty, right? And it helps serve that purpose. Get the rust off so you can hit the ground running when the program starts. Yep, we've got the question, is the degree formerly an MBA or an EMBA degree? You will earn the Wharton MBA degree when you attend this program. It doesn't say EMBA on your resume. The executive piece is a format piece, but the degree is an MBA. So you're going to be required to have the same admissions requirements and the same graduation requirements. Yeah. So yeah, it kind of gets you in that mindset to study, take tests while you have a busy life.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'll just say, again, we're human beings assessing human talent. And so many of you are coming in with brilliant careers and maybe not so stellar transcripts. Or say you're the opposite. Say you have a stellar academic background and you've, had a different type of career. Let's talk about careers. So, we're looking for students with over 10 years of work experience, 10 to 20 years of work experience. And, for us, we want demonstrated career progression, demonstrated growth, demonstrated leadership, project management. Really, it's hard to, someone asked me this question yesterday on a different session. They said, what are you looking for? And I'm like, just progression. Like keep working, keep your head down. Becoming the best person you can be within your chosen field is really kind of the resumes that sing in the process. But, we say all the time, there's probably been a moment of clarity for anybody that's on this webinar right now where you're sitting in a meeting or a series of meetings and you think, oh, I might need a little bit more education to be better at this or to pivot my just quick little, function within industry into this. And so we, invite you to explore that kind of thought process as you're thinking about applying to an MBA, because you'll be among friends with having this moment of clarity, which brought you to this webinar, which brought you to this global cohort and brought you to the MBA in general. And then the last thing we look for, of course, is fit for our community. As we said, Wharton's a really tactile degree. It's really hands-on. We really want students who are going to come in and be part of it. I mean, people actually ask me on my staff, they say, what's success here? So I always extrapolate it into what is success within the Wharton community? And to us at first, it's just connectedness. Be part of everything, want to be into everything, want to meet people and learn everything, because there's a lot going on here. And so, one of the things we will try to assess, and we ask essays specifically to do this, is, what will you bring to campus, right? That whole give and take. Of course you're coming here to take network and curriculum and classes and professors and, career resources, but what will you bring? Because what you bring is what the person next to you needs. So we assess that well in the community piece.
Absolutely. It's 360, and it's just interesting to watch. I always feel the MBA is such a practical degree. You can get anything out of it that you want. You just have to understand that. But it's not just about getting. It's about giving as well and bringing something to the table so your classmates are really glad that they know you.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the process. Couple things. On the admissions website, you'll see the entire requirements section. We want to make this really easy for you. So there's two places that you can see everything you need to do. One is start an online application.
Yep.
There's a huge, it's not flashing, but it's a red button that says start, I was going to say a huge flashing button, but it's a large button that says start an application. If you do that, you'll be able to see all the requirements. But we also wanted to make it a little bit easier for you. So if you're, just kind of dabbling, thinking about round 1 or round 2, all of the requirements are listed on the website. That's the actual text of the essays that you will be required to write, and the instructions for a letter of support, which we will talk about, or the letter of recommendation. So all of that is available on our website. So just please take a look and you can kind of poke through on your own time. Diane's going to talk a little bit more about sponsorship, but the idea that your company and employer and manager is actively aware and supporting your desire to get this degree is required as part of the application process. But we'll talk about that in the next slide. We do require 2 letters of recommendation. That is different from the letter of sponsorship, right? Because, it's a different modicum that we're trying to assess. Sponsorship is, are you aware? Do you support? Etc. Letters of recommendation are, who is this person within their life? Who are they when they wake up every morning and either log onto their computer or show up in the office? How do they lead? How do they mentor? What are they good at? How do they take feedback? And so all of those recommendation questions are available on our website as well. And you'll send those over to your letters of recommendation writers. We do require 2 essays, but they are not trick questions. First and foremost, the first essay is, what are you trying to accomplish with this degree professionally? And so my best advice is, I always tell this anecdote. I had a family member who was applying to another graduate program at Penn, and she was on the phone with me for 15 minutes detailing exactly why she wanted to get this degree and how she came to, let's say, the global cohort and what she found valuable about it. And she had this beautiful diatribe of why she wanted this graduate degree, and then paused and said, so what should I write about? And I was like, you should write that exact thing. So there's a reason that you're watching this. There's a reason that brought you here. So think about those reasonings. And the first question is literally just the answer to what brought you here in the first place. What are you hoping to get out of this degree professionally? So not a trick, but at the end of this, there is a link to start a conversation with us, and we would love to talk you through it if you do have any questions. Diane and I talked about testing being required, GMAT, GRE, executive assessment. If you did go to college in a non-English speaking university, we do require the TOEFL, the test of English as a foreign language, but call us if you are confused. We can help you hash that out. Transcripts, obviously, school, we require your transcripts from both undergraduate and graduate. But here's the thing I think is important to know, and this is all over the website as well. It's unofficial. What does unofficial mean? This is how it works. Because again, rusty. People have probably not called their colleges in a couple years. So what you do is you log on to your school website. There's a form with the registrar that you can request your transcript, and then it gets sent exactly to your inbox. I think it's like most schools, it's like $5 or something to send it to you. You save it on your desktop, upload it into our portal. It's unofficial because it came directly from your desktop. But again, some people stress out about that because they're like, how do I get a transcript? You go onto your school's website, you pay $5, and you can upload it directly from your school's website. Thank God for technology. And then we are inviting everybody, we're doing an invite to interview process for this global cohort, as well as Philadelphia and San Francisco this year, which means invites to interview will not be through the process. They will actually be by invitation only. And so we will go over the deadlines in the next slide. This is also on our website. But there's a day that we will be inviting people to interview, and then a period of time that you'll have to schedule a one-on-one 30-minute interview with someone on our staff. I think personally, there's like a special place in some other place for people that make business school interviews more difficult than they have to be. We want to get to know you. That's our entire job, is to try to understand your humanity. We're not trying to stump you. We're not trying to give you questions that make you sweat and really freak out. We want to unpack your CV. We want to know who you are within your career. We want to know about your family life. We want to know your passion for, the Wharton curriculum and the global learning. So that's pretty much what we'll talk about to those 30 minutes.
It really is. It's a conversation. It's us getting to know you. So we know everyone's gets stressed at those, but hopefully our job is to make you feel comfortable.
Maybe in the Q&A we can take the stress from here to here.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and we're actually getting toward the end of this, and we've got lots of great questions coming. I do want to explore that employer sponsorship piece a bit more. Yes, you'll be taking many of your courses online, live, synchronously, but it's going to impact your work schedule. So you need to have someone, whoever has the authority in your company, to sign off on you doing this, because then there's also those 8 times you're going to be needing to be together with your cohort. So that conversation needs to start now, and it's a good one to have. It can be difficult to say, hey, I'm thinking about getting an MBA. Immediately your company might panic, like you're going to leave them, but you can reassure them, no, I'm doing this so I can grow. And they're going to benefit from it right away from the first class that you take. So find out who it is in your company has the authority to say, yep, we know she's applying. We've seen the calendar and we're good with that. We'll make sure we're not interfering. And as in all of our cohorts, we do recommend having that every other Friday off. It'll impact 1 weekend day, 2 weekend days a month because it's every other week, and 1 week work day. So they need to say, yep, we're good with the schedule. That's the minimum that everyone needs. And if you keep those conversations going throughout your 2 years, great things can happen in your career too, as they see you grow and develop and learn. The financing part, that money part, folks who have more than 8 years of work experience, they don't have to have any financial investment from their company. You can absolutely invest in yourself, and that is pretty much the norm. The vast majority of our students are paying for this program on their own because they're investing in themselves. Companies used to have that investment model. They'd send an employee to a program. That's the exception anymore, as we know. It's a new world out there, right? But it's a good investment into a person. It's a different ROI for everybody out there. You've got to figure out what your ROI is, but to a person, everyone has said it's definitely one of the best investments. Very rarely do you have a 100% guarantee that it'll be a positive ROI, but this one is. It's the return on education. And that last piece there, that support, it's really nice if they say, hey, we're really excited for this person. We think it's going to be a great experience for them, and they get it. Otherwise, it can be a really long 2 years. Yeah, we'll give you the time, but then we're going to throw extra work on you when you are in the office, that sort of thing. So we don't have a template on our website that says this is what you need to see, because we just see so many different organizations. We don't want to pigeonhole you into one template. We want it to be sincere. This is what we're able to do. And what you and your company agree to, we hear all sorts of deals that are made at the back end. Hey, if you pay $20,000 a term, I promise I'll work for 2 years afterwards, that sort of thing. Whatever you guys agree on, that's between you and your organization. And then you can just show us that they get it. They're going to make sure you're in front of your computer or on the ground when needed throughout the 2 years, and it's going to be a great outcome for everyone. One addition to this is some of you do have your own companies. And yes, you'll write your own letter of sponsorship. You're basically going to say, I know what I'm getting into. My company is at a point where it can be sustained. I have people in place. I can do this and it will be fine. So basically attesting to what you're doing. If there is a board that you can have a member of your board write it for you as well. Awesome. And that does need to be submitted with your application at the time of the deadline.
Yeah, actually, applications will not be complete without this. Super common question is, can I apply and then be admitted and then submit this? We need it up front. We just want to make sure that every applicant we have in the system is ready to go. They have the support they need, and we don't want to have to ask questions on the back end. It's painful for everybody if you get in and your company doesn't support you. I know the reason we do this is we're trying to support you on the front end, because that's the most horrible result if you get admitted and your company doesn't support you. So we're just trying to mitigate all of that up front.
Yeah, go to our website. The Executive MBA side of the Wharton website has some tips. We have a professor up there who shares tips on asking for this kind of sponsorship. And again, it only has to be time. And we have a couple PDFs that you can download. If you make it a business proposition, they'll take you seriously. Get on someone's calendar, start running it up the chain. Get an advocate to help you get you where you need to be.
Awesome. All right, so we're closing out. So if you guys have questions, please continue to put them up there. We're getting a running tally on the screen in front of us, and we will go through as many as we can. But before we flip to questions, so these are the dates and deadlines for the upcoming application cycle for the global cohort. So round 1 is upcoming soon. A very common question in this kind of flow of dates is, okay, you have 2 rounds. Is one stronger? Is one better? Do you recommend one over the other? And this is our best advice. And this is our best advice from many years in these chairs. Round 1 and round 2 are almost identical. My best advice is, if you're watching this and this program is like lighting a fire under you and you think, oh, I'm ready. I've already taken that testing, because I was prepping for, to another program or something before this one came online. And, I'm ready to go. Put that application in round one. We turn around decisions right before the holidays. So you can kind of like go into the holidays at peace knowing
Yes.
you have your decision. But the vast majority of you are probably not going to be ready in October. So January 18th is going to be your round. And just know that right there, we are doing talent assessment, hot and heavy in January, and it's very similar to apply in October and to apply in January. So if you're ready in October, go for it. If you're not ready until January, absolutely fine. That's when we do most of, our talent admitting anyway. And so that's kind of how we roll through it. All of these dates and deadlines have been posted on our website under the admissions section. So take a look. Release dates, one of the things we're super proud of is the day we tell you, we're going to tell you the decisions, they come out. So we're trying to kind of mitigate a lot of those nerves as well.
Yeah, absolutely. October 12th will be here before you know it, but we're here for you as well. If you have questions about parts of your application, as Blair mentioned, we're going to have a QR code at the end so you can schedule a chat and we can assess, if you're feeling ready. We want you to feel good about when you submit your app. You want to feel confident and solid about what you're putting before the committee. All right. So the cost of the global cohort is the same as our other two cohorts. This is the tuition for the class that just started in May. The tuition for the May 2023 entering class for all three cohorts will be posted as soon as we get it. It'll be a few months. But what this cost does is covers everything that's required. It just the only thing it really doesn't cover is getting to wherever you need to be. If those 8 times that you need to get on an airplane, getting to the campus and to the city where you need to be. But it covers tuition, books and fees, all the administrative costs. All 3 global treks are going to be covered. Room and board when you're with us on campus, those 8 times that you're going to be with us, your room and board is covered in the hotel. So it does cover pretty much everything, and it allows you to keep those incomes going while you're earning it. We charge your tuition 6 times because of the 6 terms we have. We divide that number by 6, and that's how you would pay Penn. All right, so let's get to all these questions that have been coming.
We're ready. I'll take the first one. What's the likely breakdown in the global cohort versus American and international students? And I wanted to take this one just, because we have admissions in our soul. For us, we would never go into an admissions cycle saying we want to enroll X number of international students. We let the talent dictate, period. And so I was excited to answer that question, but also I don't have an answer for you because I don't know. I need to see the talent that comes through. Our entire goal is to make sure we're putting together the strongest cohort possible. So after the first year, when we have a class profile slide like that, we'll be able to tell you what it looks like.
Yep, absolutely. We know it'll be diverse. Yep. The challenges to arranging global trips. Yeah, they're definitely challenges. There was a spell there that we couldn't offer any, right? So that actually became an online way to learn as well. But we are getting back out there. I'm pleased to say there are 4 Global Business Week trips happening next week. And I know all the global modular courses are back in action. There might be a few countries, cities, whatnot, that aren't going to be in the mix for a while. That happens every time. Anyway, there have been times where we've had a trip planned and something's happened that we've had to pull back. It wasn't a global thing, but we're ready for it. So, yep, a little bit of a challenge, but definitely excited that it's getting back to normal.
I've been jokingly saying, I'm like, we're back, baby. Yeah. Everything's back. I mean, Diane will be in Argentina next week, right? Next week for the Global Business Week.
Yeah.
If it's any indication, I mean, one of the things I think is so exciting about this global cohort are these GMCs as they're part of the curriculum, right?
Yeah.
This is a cultural part of Wharton, but not every single student takes part of them. But this cohort, you'll be right there with everybody taking these global classes. And it just, of course, for 2 years we didn't run them, but we're back and we're running them all over the world. And there's been a few challenges. And I was just in an airport last week for the first time and I was like, oh, I'm back. I mean, I went to, South Carolina. But still.
Yeah. And actually one of the options we had in the interim was a domestic modular course, but we made a global component. We went to DC. The World Bank, IMF, all of that stuff. Yeah. It was amazing. The visits we got, the Wharton School, the opened doors to some good decision makers, let's say. Yeah. So it was really neat.
That's really cool. Next question is a minimum executive assessment score you expect. I'm just going to extrapolate this and say minimum GRE, minimum GMAT, minimum EA. No, we don't do that. We don't look at that. I think, but I think like a larger answer to a larger question is ideologically, admissions committees at the Wharton School do not gun for your testing.
No.
We are not trying to optimize a average test score on a class profile. We are not trying to assess you and say that your only indication of academic preparedness to be a member of the Wharton family is a minimum score on an executive assessment. So I know this is a very unsatisfying answer from admissions people, but we are very truthful when we say that is literally just one part of even just your academic component. We have a read to admit philosophy. And what that means is if you have strong metrics in your transcripts, undergrad, graduate, professional school, and maybe lower testing, fine, right? You've shown us you can do it. If you're taking, med school classes or mechanical engineering classes, like you can handle it, right? Especially with this cohort, you've been out of school a while, like testing is rusty. And so we'll be looking at your best day in the sun, and that's super serious. And so one of the things I've been trying to communicate for over 10 years in a chair like this is don't self-select out. Take the testing, see how you do, and then think about who you were as an undergraduate, graduate, or professional student, because that was 4 years of your life. The testing is 4 hours. So that's super real.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question if the diploma will indicate that if you earned your Wharton MBA via the global cohort, that it was in a blended format. It will not, because you are truly earning the Wharton MBA. And this is the way of the world. In fact, 2 years of graduates of Penn, not just Wharton, had a significant portion of their learning online, right? And that was valid. Everyone earned it online. They had to be. Now we realize we can reach further in the world and give these folks the opportunity to earn a Wharton MBA. So, nope, it's going to say Wharton MBA.
I mean, I think the ability to work and learn online and teach online has been such a pandemic silver lining. I mean, you hate to kind of say it like that, but I mean, I've had some pandemic silver lining just in my own life. Yeah. But it's like, that's a silver lining. And that's why we're here talking about this cohort. Like, I don't think this would have been possible 5 years ago. Right. Remember, we were all trying to figure out some of the online tech? Yeah, there's just no way. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and I used to think, gosh, full-time MBA students, they leave their jobs, they move to Philadelphia, earn the MBA, and go back out in the world. In the executive side of the house, we had the Philadelphia campus, the San Francisco campus. And so we could recruit individuals who could make it to these campuses every other week for 2 years. That's 48 times that they needed to maybe get on a plane if they were in Texas to get to one of the campuses. But we're ruling out so much of the world, the vast majority of the world couldn't make that happen. It's just not realistic. So now this cohort gives those people on the other side of the world the opportunity. So it's 8 times on an airplane, not 48. And you're going to be literally earning the same academic degree and having those experiences that are so important at Wharton.
Absolutely. Next question is, does a reapplicant need to submit new letters of recommendation even when the recommenders remain the same? Okay, I want to say 2 things about this. First of all, we love our reapplicants. It shows a commitment. Actually, 3 things about this. We love our reapplicants. So to commitment to Wharton, we actually have a higher than average reapplicant admit rate. And so we really are taking that seriously. We will see your previous letters as part of your application package. And so my best advice is actually to not use the same letter of recommendation writers, especially if you're applying kind of soon after each other, because it's kind of the same verbiage. They would tell the same stories. They would say you're the same person. I think, listen, we're in the advice-giving business. And so I would just say my best advice is to use different letter of recommendation writers to get a different scope of you, to tell different stories. But if you feel like the need, you really want to use the same people, I would have them rewrite them and have them rewrite them with different components, right? I think something that is not always discussed is that we want you to talk to these letter writers. There's like this weird third rail that people don't think they can prep their letter writers, but we would really encourage you to sit down and say, hey, listen, this is what I'm hoping to get out of this, global MBA. This is what I weak in. This is what I was weak in. And this is what I think I would love for you to address as who I am as an employee. So prep them, but use others. And if you use the same ones, just get them to write some new verbiage.
Yeah, I mean, at least 6 months, maybe even a year has gone by, right? So something has happened that they can address in that letter.
Yeah.
All right. So there is a question about whether it is possible to submit your application without the sponsorship letter from your employer because this global cohort requires less traveling. But no, that is not possible. Do look at the calendar. this global cohort also impacts your ability to work if you work the standard schedule. So there are 8 times when you will be gone from the office, at least 5 days. The first time, in fact, it's 11 days, the first starting in May. So that's significant. You need your employer to be behind you on that. And then the every other weekend format, even though you're in front of your computer online, it's going to bleed into that Friday, especially. So no, it's a good conversation to have. They need to be behind you. They're going to benefit from it. It's not a type of program. The logistics of this program absolutely need to be known by your employer. Please go to our website and read all those tips and start that conversation. We kind of treat this as the other 2 cohorts. It is a partnership in the journey.
Absolutely. I think we have maybe 2 or 3 more questions to get us to the 50-minute mark. We'll just be mindful of everybody's time. The next one, is the program fee inclusive of airfare, lodging, et cetera, when we have to travel to different campuses? The program fee is inclusive of lodging and board, so lodging and food. Food's actually quite good. And not inclusive of airfare. So just split the question. Not inclusive of airfare to physically get you where you need to go, but yes, inclusive of hotels and food and room and board while you're either in Philadelphia, in San Francisco, on a global business week, or on a global modular course.
Yeah, the airfare is not included at all, but you don't know which one you're going to, right? Same with our current cohorts. Some folks have been flying every other week to attend class. They do that on their own dime. We cover the in-between nights for them. And with the global cohort, we're going to cover all those nights. And it is going to be the same, the tuition for all 3 cohorts. There might be less back and forth with the global cohort, but we have the extended sessions and the required global sessions. So there's that much in-person bonding where the fees are included. So one fee for whichever format you choose to take it in, whichever cohort works out best for you. Know that you're going to get the same amount of time with Wharton professors and the bonding time and the end result, the Wharton MBA.
That actually gets us right to the next question. Bonding time, the same amount of time with Wharton professors. The question is the tuition the same with the in-person EMBA program for this global cohort? Answer is yes, because you're actually getting the same amount of time with our professors and in-class time as you would if you came to Philadelphia. So there's victories in both formats, right? Like coming to campus, you get more physical interaction, but you're getting the same amount of time with your cohort, with the people in your cohort and the faculty. It's just in a different mechanism.
Yeah. It's not streamlined. It's just a different logistic format. All right. So the alumni piece of it all, it is exactly the same as anyone who graduated from the Wharton School. Undergrads, graduate, PhD, full-time executive. Yes, you are part of the Wharton Alumni Network. And what's neat and what we're working on, once we know who is going to be in our class, we're going to be pinging all those alumni clubs throughout the world and having activities with them. We don't know how many people will be in this region or that region. As those extracurricular pieces happen, we're going to make sure that you feel part of the Wharton network. And it is something that starts the minute you start at the school, no matter what program you attend. There's going to be so much opportunity, and it really opens the doors for the Wharton alumni clubs who love to stay engaged with the school.
So I guess we have 2 more questions. One is, will there be any refund in case the global trips are not going ahead? Good question. Let's just say a couple things about this. One, let's put COVID on the side for a little bit because, in the last year, we have not seen trips canceled because of COVID, period. I mean, so there's no way you would know that. We know that. So COVID's fine. But things do happen in the world, but the world is large. Diane was alluding to this before. She said something like, you don't know where you're going to go because there's just a lot of worlds. There's a lot of trips. There's a lot of resources we have here at Wharton. So in the wild chance there's a global uprising in somewhere we were going to go, we will go somewhere else. There are trips planned simultaneously. They're over these very specific weeks. And so there are more trips to go around than one being canceled for a global uprising. So listen, we have all learned in the last 2 years never to say never, but the odds that are happening and that you wouldn't physically have a global location to go to are very slim. Fair?
Very fair. Very fair. Yep. And it's amazing how this university can pivot as needed.
Right. We also have our international support office is absolutely insane. I was just thinking two
Amazing.
things while answering that question. There was a couple of students, this was now almost 2 years ago, who got COVID in Costa Rica, and the support they had for, getting out of the country relative to Wharton, it was unbelievable. So I'm always just so impressed with what we can do.
It's amazing. We've got the support of the University of Pennsylvania. Yes, there are 104 Wharton alumni. Imagine how many Penn alumni there are. You're part of that network as well. The last question we'll take today, and please don't let this be the last question you ask us. We're going to have that QR code next. Do you have to choose to apply for the global cohort, or can you apply for either global or Philadelphia? No, you have to choose one. When you start your application, it will ask you which of the 3 cohorts you're applying to. And the admissions requirements are the same, except for perhaps the English test requirements. So, and it's important to know which one is going to work for you.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, if you can get to one of the 2 campuses without much burden, San Francisco or Philadelphia, do that, right? You'll be on the campuses and have that experience. But if it is going to be an extra ask of you to be able to get to one of those 2 campuses, it just doesn't fit into your life, and yet this is the time that you need to earn your MBA. The global one, that's one of the many reasons we started it.
Yeah. And we want to have that conversation with you, as Diane said, just to get to kind of the last thing. We're in the advice-giving business. We want to make sure that you feel prepared to apply, to apply to the Philadelphia cohort, to the San Francisco cohort, to the global cohort. But I think, what we're most excited about, and I think we correctly communicated in the last 55 minutes or so, is that we're just really excited to offer another mechanism, another delivery mechanism of the same coursework, the same access to professors, the same access to your network in a changed world, in a 2022 world. And so, as you sit in your homes all over the world, you're going to have to figure out what makes the most sense to you. And I think odds are that, you're excited about this new delivery mechanism. But we hope that this brought you into the Wharton family, and it may encourage you to explore more about the San Francisco cohort or the Philadelphia cohort and think, maybe that actually is better for me. And, obviously we would be excited about your addition to any cohort.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is an opportunity that we're excited about. Please kick the tires. Please make sure you understand that this new cohort is going to be just as rigorous, and it's going to be a true Wharton MBA. We want to hear from you. We want to walk you through that journey to make sure you're getting the right advice as you figure out what you're going to do to impact your career. And we hope that we hear from you. So that's the QR code. Please take a picture of that, schedule a chat, and please reach out to us.
Absolutely. Don't be strangers. And again, thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. This recording will be available on the Wharton YouTube and the Wharton websites. So if you continue to think about this and you're not remembering quite what we said, again, please reach out. But also this will be available if you want to send it to colleagues and friends as well. And thank you so much. Again, we're really excited to share this with you. And thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.